had previously found myself disappointed by A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman, but at the urging of my friends, I read My Friends. So did they do me dirty, or was this a redemption read for Backman? Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Spineless Books, your one-stop spoiler-free shop for all things audiobook. Now, I didn't enjoy A Man Called Ove because I didn't really like the writing style. I did like the story, but I felt like the writing was very fragmented. Ove looks to his left, Ove sees a door, Ove touches the knob, Ove opens the door. It felt to me like it just wasn't written in a way that I could get into, and while again I did like the story, I didn't like the writing. But that may have been a hiccup, because in retrospect, the fact that this book is translated probably does have part of the responsibility in my dislike. So I wasn't totally closed off to Backman when my friends suggested My Friends, and I'm really glad that was the case. I wasn't so much hesitant as I was curious. I know a lot of people love Backman's books, so I figured there must be something to it. I have to say that right off the bat, My Friends was very different from A Man Called Ove, and immediately I was hooked. I mean, probably in about the first paragraph. It did take me a moment to fall in step with the narrative structure, but it's not that it was hard, it just was that Backman made me work for it a tiny bit. The book follows a young girl who's about to turn 18, and she's an orphan. In fact, she's run away from her foster home. And she's on a quest to see a painting in person that's really got a lot of sentimental value to her. It's extremely valuable, but for Louisa, it's valuable because it's the painting on a postcard that she's carried around for much of her youth. And the significance of that postcard is that it's addressed to her from the family that she wishes she had. So Louisa holds this painting near and dear to her heart, and it means everything to her to get to look at it in person. Things go very differently than Louisa anticipates, and it leads her to have an encounter with a man named Ted. Now, I don't want to get into what happens that allows Louisa and Ted to connect, or what they have in common, or what they don't have in common, but they do become intertwined on a journey. The book alternates between present day and Ted's past, sort of explaining how he's gotten to this moment. And I really actually felt like the narrative structure was super clear once it got going, and I kind of loved it. The transitions were seamlessly executed, so it made the jumping back and forth in time totally comprehensible. There are themes of connection, personal growth, personal loss, the evolution of a relationship. Ted and Louisa have both gone through a loss, and so we really get a great sense of how that impacts someone from two different ages. It gives us awesome perspective. They're at very different places in their lives, so their exchange is extremely symbolic. As I was reading this story, I was kind of giving updates to a friend of mine who's not a reader, so there's really no risk of spoiling anything. And I kept saying, I'm not sure what this story's about yet, or I'm not sure what's going to happen, or I don't really know what the point is in this moment, but through all of that, I was enjoying the book so much that I really didn't care. In fact, it didn't matter to me at any point what the story was, because I was so swept up in the relationship between these two characters and getting to know them that I was just along for the ride, and that was all that mattered. Louisa is beginning her adult life, and Ted is coming from a much more mature perspective. And there was so much to dig into as a listener that I just became completely engrossed. Now, there is a plot, I'll give you that, but it's so simple that honestly, I don't want to give it away. I just need you to experience it and let it unfold for you. So if you don't know what it's about, please don't look it up. Just go into it blind. I promise you it'll be much more enjoyable. I valued the slow and intentional revealing of character through past experience and present reaction. And both Ted and Louisa had an evolution, and they had an evolution as a pair. There was subtle humor and not so subtle humor, but there was a lot of levity in more serious themes. There was a lot of warmth in this story, but I think Backman brilliantly balances levity with things that are a little bit heavy, and it just feels right. I was completely absorbed and reluctant for the book to end. I just wanted to stay in this world. There was so much emotional resonance and sweetness and bittersweetness, but it was also balanced with overarching optimism. I feel like I owe Backman an apology for not enjoying A Man Called Ove. I mean, the man really can write, and it's no wonder that he's so popular. As a matter of fact, my reviews are often many weeks behind my actual reading of the book, and while I am recording this book, I'm a couple chapters into Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. While I have read a number of books in between, I was really eager to get back to his writing, and I do think he's someone for whom I will pursue reading his whole catalog. I know many people who've read all of his books, and I think I want to be one of those people. This one was a simple 5 stars for me. If you're looking for something sweet and funny and moving and simple but also complicated, this is a great book to pick up. The man's got a lot of books, but I think I'm ready for the challenge. If you have suggestions on which ones are your favorite that I should probably pick up next, let me know in the comments. If you have a favorite, I'd love to hear that too. And so far, I've only read 2, but I think this one's my favorite. But I'll give Anxious People a shot first. But remember, you might love what I hate and hate what I love, so make your own opinion. But thanks for listening to mine. See you next time. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel. Thank you.